Okay, y'all. Let's talk about health and wellness for a second, shall we? Now, a lot of people will sit there and they will tell you multiple different ways on how to be healthy. What if I told y'all we're doing it wrong completely? That everything we're doing is wrong. And why is it wrong? Because it's one component we're not looking at. So, let's talk about it. You have this bottle right here that is heavier than this cup that has nothing in it, okay? This is the cup that society wants you to be. They want you to be this cup right here, not this one here, because this one is bigger. This one's heavier than this one, okay? But here's the thing about internal health. That's not how the internal body works, okay? What makes you heavy is not even the weight per se. It's the volume, okay? It's what's inside of the body that makes it bigger, okay? So it isn't about any of what we thought. Because there are people that go to the gym every day and can't lose not 1 pound at all. Why is that? Why? Because it's what we're consuming and what we acknowledge. Not only that, there's a whole routine that we have to do first. First, we have to get rid of what's in the bottle, which you notice is in the inside of the bottle. So it's not about your external, it's about the internal. You got to get rid of what's in here that's causing what's inside this bottle. Now, it's easier for you to open a bottle and drink it. Why? Because when you drink it, what happens? It gets lighter. Why? Because you're drinking it. So, and it's being released. So, for those of you that are overweight, the reason why you're overweight is because of what's inside of you that you need to relinquish. But there's one part that we're forgetting. No amount of going to the gym, no amount of food, as far as dieting, is going to change the digestive system. The digestive system doesn't care about that. Their internal body works differently. You have intestines, small and large. And if you're not chewing your food properly, if you are eating stuff that isn't about the food itself, but the manufacturing companies and what's being used as far as chemicals and different things like that, that the meat that we're getting is not exactly fresh as it should be. Manipulation. So again, you are what you consume and what you acknowledge. What you consume and what you acknowledge should be relinquishing this. Okay? Even mentally, you're relinquishing whatever is in your brain. So, that's why you have information. But the problem is when you consume too much information and you're strolling, you're not doing nothing but adding more into this bottle. You're not getting rid of it. So if you're taking in more than you relinquish, that's why this is happening. So for every 3,600 calories, or 3,500 calories, equivalents to 1 pound. So if we were to basically take a water bottle, which is 16 ounces, this ain't even nowhere near a pound. So imagine what's going to make a pound out of a water bottle. So imagine how many, exactly what you got to do to lose all of this. That would mean you would have to stop taking in so much. So that means food. So y'all talk about portion control. That don't solve the problem either. Meal prep doesn't solve it either. It don't. None of what you're doing is solving the problem. Do you know what? You want to know what I did? I ate twice a day. Point blank, period. And what I eat is breakfast and dinner. Now, since I've been here, I eat a little bit more. But I noticed that when I was doing that and I was just eating protein, eggs, bacon, no pancakes, no, none of that, I noticed I was losing weight. When you're sick and you don't eat and you don't feel good, do you notice you lose weight? You lose weight because of the fact of the matter that your body is not getting as much food as it should be. But here's where the complication is that we don't talk about. Your intestines. Your intestine stores food. If you're not chewing your food properly, what happens is when you don't chew your food properly, all of that's in your stomach. That's why you'll see corn, you'll see all of this stuff in your stool. That's why. Just like the past few days, I was constipated and it had nothing to do with this. When you lose your gallbladder, this is how you find this stuff out. Because when you don't have your gallbladder, it's a little bit harder to go to the bathroom like I don't have a gallbladder. But what I will say is how you go about not only losing weight but maintaining weight is understanding that you're going to have to stay active. Meaning that when you eat, you're going to have to stay active. So you're going to have to burn off right then and right there. So going in the morning and then turning around and eating all day and then not working out the rest of the day. No. What you're going to have to do is after you eat, you have to get up and do some type of movement. Whether it be going for a walk, whether it be whatever. You in the afternoon when you eat, if y'all eat 3 times a day, you're going to have to work that off immediately. It cannot be where you keep food in your system and it stays stuck there. We have to figure out how to go about eating and being able to get it out. And also understanding the importance of chewing your food fluently and what foods are we supposed to eat and what foods are we not supposed to eat that are actually getting stuck in our intestines. That's why you're gaining weight. That's why you end up with hernias. That's why you end up with a bunch of bladder infections, because your actual intestines are actually infected. How I know this because there's a young lady by the name of Victoria that basically has to have something to where she doesn't have, they had to end up doing something for her. And I really want to try to see about trying to interview her to talk about it. But yes, that is why. Your intestines are basically storing waste because whatever you're eating is not being able to be digested. And because of the fact you're not being able to get it to go down, all of that waste just gets stuck. And how I know that was because when I started taking my antibiotics, I noticed that I was going to the bathroom and cleansing out my system. If you're not cleansing your system after you go to the bathroom, that is a very serious problem. That means that there is food that's stuck. And you're going to have to take a laxative. That's why my doctor recommends taking a laxative every day to make sure that I'm not backed up. Your stool should never be where it's black. So again, that's why we're getting all these bacteria infections. That's why we're ending up with cancer. That's why we're ending up with these things, because everything we consume that goes into the internal part of us impacts and affects us. It's just like if you have numbness on this side and you don't have numbness on this side will still be affected. It doesn't matter. Even though this side is the side that's going to be infected, this side still will be. I have chronic pain, so I know. So again, whatever decision and choices that you make, understand there are consequences, repercussions, and karma. But that's why you're not losing weight. Because a lot of stuff is getting stuck in parts of the body that you don't think impact your health and wellness. They do. And the small and large intestines play a very, very big part of that. So I just thought about that. So just wanted to share. With that being said,